Hi, everybody. I'm here with Dr. Ealy of CovidCon, and super excited to be here and to be able to connect with you and chat about the upcoming event series in October, and just what you guys have in terms of latest updates and latest research, and how we're weaving together to really tell the true story, to create a clearer picture for people moving forward. So super excited to be here and to be able to connect with you with regards to all of that.
Amen. Well, thanks for having me. And I'm excited about CovidCon as well. Folks, if you want to check it out, you can go to covidcon21.com. We have opportunities for people to join us both in person and online. And so doesn't matter what country you're in, we're going to have a lot of information from some really high level presenters, really world-renowned presenters. But I think what's unique about the event that I'm really excited about, Lee, is there's actually three components that I think are really, really cool about the event. Number one, every dollar is going to go to make a difference. So we're not here to get rich. I'm not making a penny off of any of this stuff. What we are instead doing is making sure that the money that comes in through registration, sponsorships, donations goes into a fund to help fund, unbiased scientific inquiry, unbiased scientific research, goes to fund well-constructed legal cases on the behalf of all the people of the world, and goes into a fund to support education, that we can get the information that hasn't been shared in the mainstream media out to people and do something that I think is fundamental to freedom. Give people the right to decide. Here's what they're saying. Here's what they're also saying that they're not telling you, because all of the information we share is from, the CDC and the World Health Organization and peer-reviewed scientific literature and things like that. And when you see the full scope of it as a free person, you get a right to decide. So that's number one, is your dollars go to make a difference. Number two is every single person that's presenting from a variety of backgrounds. We have attorneys, we have elected officials, activists, medical professionals, scientists, all of this diverse background of people that we should have been talking from the very beginning about all this, coming together to say, you know what, we have to talk about this now, right? So we're bringing everybody together, but we're not bringing people, all these diverse group of people together just to just to tell you more about what you may already know, because I think we all have figured out some things about this, but it's to provide solutions. And that's why the name of the CovidCon 21 is the Solutions Summit. Everything we do has to be solution oriented, where you as a attendee, as you as somebody who's interested in participating, gets information that you can implement immediately through these organizations and in your local communities and things like that. So we're really excited about that component of it as well. You're going to get tremendous resource pages and everything. We've even set it up so that on October 14th, you can get a free guest pass to the whole event online. So that if you want to just check it out before you commit and register for the Friday and the Saturday, you can do that as well. This is October 14th, 15th and 16th, so coming up really soon. And then I think we have a third component to this, and Lee, I think you're going to dig this, and I think your audience is really going to dig this one. I've been working with Dr. David Martin, and we're authoring what we are calling the Declaration of Universal Independence.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing is we're creating a document with high vibration, great energy, no negativity of, saying, hey, we're doing this because somebody's wronging us over here. No, we're just establishing that we have a certain inalienable status from the moment we are born. And that inalienable status is protected by specific inalienable conditions, which some people want to term as rights, but they're even higher. They even supersede rights. Rights come from governments. This is a natural law that it's coming from. So we've laid those out, and then and what we're going to do on Saturday is we're going to call a quorum on a formal continental Congress session for everybody who's in attendance, and we're going to ratify this document and make it a legal, recognized, notarized document for the world to share. And hopefully that works as the framework and architecture for future amendments to constitutions in multiple countries that protect our individual sovereignty, so we can't get swept up in statistical fraud and really tyrannical approaches to public health that we see that are on this horizon right now. And I just came across a website today that went through a timeline laying it all the way out since this has been going on since set up since 2002 to occur. And that I know when talking with David Martin and his work, his research shows it goes back into the 90s, that this has been set up for a long time. And I know people have said, well, you really got to go back to the Rockefellers and some of that stuff in the late 1800s. And I'm like, I think everybody's right about that. That we have to fundamentally call it like we see it and say and ask ourselves a very important question. What world do we want to create? What world do we want to live in? Not what world do we not want. I don't want to fight against anything. I'm not here to fight against anything. I'm here to fight for, right? I'm here to fight for what's right. I'm here to fight for future generations. I'm here to make sure that we are establishing a framework as a people, one people on this planet that says in one voice, this is how we're going to get down. This is what we're about. And governments must establish laws based upon these inalienable conditions that we all agree are universal to every person from the moment of birth until they take their last breath. And so that's what this is. This is super exciting. We're here to make history. We're here to do something that has been done many times before throughout global history. People, just regular people, getting together and saying enough.
Yeah.
And what can we do to make sure that what has happened never happens again? So that's CovidCon for everybody in a nutshell. Check us out, CovidCon21.com, and we hope you can be there, and we hope you can participate. If you can't participate day of, you got something else going on, don't worry about it. We're going to have opportunities for access to everything that went on in there, all the video assets, everything, and even a little bit more. There'll be opportunities to register and access all that material as well. So, but check us out, join us. We have other free information on there. We have information on the progress of our grand jury petition that's been acknowledged by the Department of Justice. We have information on immune priming and early treatments to discuss with your medical teams. We're not giving any advice. We're not telling anybody what to do. We're simply collecting a lot of information saying, here, do with it what you want, you decide. And we have information on how to deal with mandates. And I know you have a great one, this gameoncanada.org that just came out as well. So we're seeing a lot of people coming together and acknowledging this is wrong and creating situations to do something about it. And we're certainly one of those groups as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. There's so much there to unpack. And I want to start with the Universal Declaration of Independence, because that's something that I'm finding myself on, weaving in and out of a number of different groups and on a number of different core councils. There's the Medical Freedom Protectors, which I just connected you with Sadiq, and I know he's going to be coming to CovidCon with a group of the Medical Freedom Protectors. We've started another a global joint council for private contracts, and Kalina Lux, who is in Puerto Rico, she's been going down this path of really like separating ourselves from the current system, right? And it really starts with that indoctrination by our birth certificate, and our birth certificate is essentially our corporate fiction, our corporate personhood. And that puts us into the rules of the game governed by the state or the governments. And so I love what you're saying, because what's really been coming through is if when we unplug from that and set up these private trust webs and private membership associations, and really pull out of the essentially the public sector and back into the private sector, that we can be fully protected. And what I'm really feeling is almost the rebirth, like we're rebirthing um, new nations really at this time, right? And so I'm excited to hear you say that you've got this document that you're about to ratify in the middle of October, because that's in such great alignment with a lot of these other conversations and groups where we're like, okay, if we're going to set up these structures to be protected and sovereign, and remove ourselves but be able to weave in and out of and still do commerce with each other, what do those structures look like? Right. And I think the document that you plan to ratify, the new Declaration of Independence, is an incredible first step on that. And then like I said, I feel like as we continue to come into council, I mean, we're uncovering and we're remembering that we are sovereign beings governed by natural law, and when we pull out of the current system that we were essentially all duped into being a part of, uh, then we can fully reclaim that sovereignty in a way that is protecting of the self as a sovereign, as well as supporting and lifting each other up.
I agree. I think what we're learning, and it's something we've all believed fundamentally, but we haven't necessarily expressed in a way that could be codified, is that humanity exists independent of a government. You know, Governments are man-made, and they're man-made with the intent of goodwill to serve the people. But when we have a situation like we're seeing now, where it looks like global collusion on a topic, and I say that because we don't see very many different approaches from nation to nation. There's some nations who have stood out, and thank God for them. Sweden, now Finland and Denmark, the Scandinavian countries, which tend to be more well educated than most other places. Interesting. Japan also very well educated, and they've also said we're done. We're moving back into an understanding that this is going to be with us for the rest of our lives. I mean, I think there's these nations that have this misguided and really horrific understanding of the biosphere, and that you can get to a zero on something. It's not possible. That's why we're so adamant about not having gain of function research and not releasing and opening Pandora's box and creating new problems. We have enough problems to deal with. We don't need to create new problems, right, for the world. And I think what's really important for us is to establish that the right to existence itself, supersedes any system that wants to plug you into it, and that the system must be based upon that fundamental acknowledgement of a right to exist, and a right to exist peacefully, of course, but a right to exist without without the need of that system. What we're very quickly entering into is this one world overlord kind of mentality that looks new because of the trappings of technology, and we're in a new age and things like that, but really it's just the same repurposement of this systems of slavery and the systems of eugenics, and the things that have been attempted by multiple cultures throughout world history and never successfully, I mean successfully for a time period, but never successful because they all infringe upon the fundamental agreement that we all have of a right to exist, and to exist in a peaceful way. Of course, if somebody's harming another person deliberately, yes, I agree. We must have laws to account for that, so we don't, just devolve into a lawless, expression of human beings at war constantly. But where a person is existing peacefully, I think what we're establishing, and most people would agree at this point, they have a right to be left alone. And I think that's, and without fear of reprisal, punishment, or being disenfranchised from the society that they occupy, the system that they exist within, you know. And I think that's where this document comes from. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great energetic document. We've been working on it for a couple of days. We're getting the energy of it right and making sure that we don't make the mistake that a lot of people have made in the past of bringing the negativity of what they're leaving in as a rationale. We don't need a rationale. We don't need a permission from anyone to exist. The existence, that permission was granted to us by nature, you know, and I think that's what we must honor. Try living without nature.
Absolutely. And coming back to the natural order, right?
Mhm.
And our connection with the planet, not only within ourselves and with each other, with the planet. And you know, like what you said, and not in fighting the old. And I think Buckminster Fuller is famously quoted for saying, you know, to create a new system or ecosystem or structure that makes the existing one obsolete instead of fighting the old one. So,
Mhm.
and I look at it as, you know, truly standing united. Because even in fighting, for me, there's still there's this combative, like something that we have to fight against. Whereas if all we're doing is standing united and saying, hey, we're going in this direction now, it's like, how beautiful is that? You know, so uh,
I like the idea, Lee, of us going in that direction united, throwing a massive party, and then the people who are on this forked road trying to figure out what direction do they want to go. Do they want to go into the tyranny and the passports and all that stuff, or do they want to come hang out with the people who are going to go, hey, there's a lot of good noise over there. You know, let's go check that out for a little bit. I like what they're doing. You know, I think what gets me about this whole COVID situation right now is the data on recovery rate. You know, I think it just continues to blow me away. You know, if you're under 65, I know here in the United States, you're under 65, the recovery rate is 99.6%. What are we doing? For a fatality rate of 0.4%, where the vast majority of people who have died had significant pre-existing health issues. They, you know, and that's sad in every place. But the more humanitarian approach to this is, let's shore up people's health and let's teach people how to be healthier and make sure we're not withholding evidence-based treatments from them,
mhm.
you know, the people in need, and let people get on with their life. I think there's a sweeping indictment here that I don't see a lot of people talking about. If you've had 20 months to solve a problem like this and it's only gotten worse, that's a failure of your leadership. And that to me requires that everybody who has been in leadership should be either resign. If they have integrity, they would resign, or be removed. You know, I think that's where we're at, you know, with all of this. And I think that's where I want to make sure that that's where I want to make sure more than anything else, that we have absolute understanding of what we're after here. And we're not after war. We're not after fighting with the people. Oh, I'm right. No, you're right. No, I'm right. We're not after that. We're simply saying that we have a right, we understand the situation, and we have a right to decide for ourselves how to engage that situation, that fits within our inalienable status, our inalienable conditions, and for people that need to understand it on this paradigm level, our inalienable rights.
Mhm. Yeah, I love all that, and let's do it in a way that's moral. Which, if it's in alignment with natural law, then it is moral.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that you're calling it the Solution Summit, because you know, what are the preventative measures? What is the actual science? So, you know, if people are able to take those preventative measures and actually take their health back with an understanding of, you know, it's, to me, there's such a common sense component to it. That's, you know, my dad used to always say, you know what they say about common sense, it's not so common, right? And not to point fingers or blame or shame anybody, but it's like, you know, if we were designed to breathe in our own carbon dioxide, then we would have been, you know, made like that. So,
Mhm.
and I offer breath work, and so just to have a little bit of an understanding of what solid, powerful, deep, full, intentional breath work can do, physiologically speaking, can do to boost the immune system, you know, to see the opposite being done, and people just, yeah, okay, I mean, I'm told to, you know, put this muzzle on, so that must be better for me. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
Sam, where's the, you know, if you knew how incredible this machine was and how capable it was, and all you needed to do was use mindfulness, meditate, deep breathe, you know, connect with people, hug people. The oxytocin alone that is released, you're
Yes.
connecting with people is just like, that's our natural immunity. That's the, you know, when the
Yes.
body and brain is flooded with that chemistry, it's, I mean, I'm chronologically getting older, but I breathe and train and meditate every single day, and
Hmm.
I feel better now than I ever have. More
Right.
energy now than I know what to do with. You know, so, and that's not just because I'm special or different. It's like we all have those capabilities, but we need to know the tools, and we need to have an understanding of what's actually going on inside of this incredible mechanism that carries our soul.
Amen. Well, isn't it interesting that we're being told to put a face covering over our nose and our mouth where inspiration comes in. The act of breathing in is called inspiration. So they're formally putting a restriction around your ability to inspire yourself.
Mm,
And in doing so, there's that symbol of don't speak, there's that symbol of even now don't breathe, when you cannot tap into the inspiration that lives all around us without the breath, the breath of life. That's what comes in. I find it interesting that when we talk about masks and we look at the empirical evidence, the CDC Europe published something in February showing that the use of masking, widespread masking, reduced. They estimated the reduction in infective spread to be a maximum of 1.2%. That's how effective the masks were. A 1.2% reduction in infective spread, which is to say it wasn't effective at all, right, in reducing it. It's very interesting to me that the number of people who are inoculated who felt like that was going to be the solution to end it. I mean, that's what they were told. You get the shot, you're done, right? That they're still getting looped back into the same system again, saying now you have to wear masks, and now in some places like Israel, you are no longer considered inoculated unless you get the third booster or the fourth. When is it going to end? It's not going to end,
mhm.
you know. And I think it's important that we rely on empirical evidence. So the question for me always becomes with masking is, can you show me the randomized controlled clinical trials that prove that this is the best mechanism, the best approach for safety of people who are otherwise healthy? Those studies have never been done. Trillions of dollars have been spent on this global catastrophe, and those basic studies have not been done anywhere. So what they're saying is, we're telling you to wear a mask because we said so.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing to me to see the number of people who, even at this date and time, still believe that. Now, I understand, going along to get along, and I don't agree with this, but I was just in a restaurant a couple of days ago where everybody there was wearing the mask technically, but they were wearing them as chin hammocks, right? And just like, yeah, it's on technically. If somebody comes in, they could, pull it up, but it's just like, this is the fraud. This is the farce. This is the facade, the illusion of health, and not addressing the roots of health, like you alluded to. What's going to really enable your immune system to be effective at dealing with anything, especially something it's never encountered before? Breath. Breath is the foundation for energy production. Energy production is the foundation for immunological responses. It's very, very simple. It's also very interesting that when you get into the empirical evidence, you see that oxygen is caustic to infections. Now, we don't know if it's caustic to SARS-CoV-2 infection, but we do know it's caustic to other infections. And this is why people who practice breath work have that added benefit of having a hyperoxygenated state in their bloodstream. And therefore, they are much more, I should say, much less susceptible to infection in the first place. If that becomes augmented with, say, health levels not being talked about, healthy levels of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc. When these things are abundant along with oxygen circulating in the bloodstream, it doesn't guarantee, there's no guarantee that you won't get infected from something. There's zero guarantee of that. That's not the way this is all designed to work. But what it does put you in a great probability of, if you are infected, accelerated recovery with minimal symptomatic response. Okay, and not saying asymptomatic or anything like that, but I'm saying that you won't need to go to a hospital because you've prepared your body to deal with whatever it may encounter. And I think that's the strength of all this. I'm with you. The great challenge for me, Lee, with putting together the CovidCon Solution Summit has been, I shouldn't say it hasn't. I've allowed it to impact my meditation practice. You know, I've allowed it to impact my daily meditation practice to the point where I went 2 weeks. This is the longest I've ever gone without meditating, you know, and I finally this weekend got back on track with it. It was just like, my God, why am I not doing this every day? It's ridiculous if I can't find 50. There's nothing going on in my life that's so important where I can't find 15 minutes to sit down and bring inspiration into my body, you know, to sit and find stillness, you know. And what I do, there's nothing going on, but I gave that away. And that's something that, like, I guess the message would be to everybody is you don't have to give that away. And, you know, I know we're in stressful times. I know every day there's more negativity. I mean, the volume of negativity that's out there is just on a scale I've never even imagined possible, you know. But that doesn't mean that you have to give away your peacefulness and your positivity to that. If you do, like I did for 2 weeks, that was a choice I made. And I'm going to tell you straight up, anybody watching, that was the wrong choice. It was the wrong choice for me. It was the wrong choice for everybody who depends on me. It was the wrong choice for my family. This is me not being responsible, thinking that I'm doing something to help the world. How can I help the world effectively if I'm not centered in what I'm doing? What am I really bringing into that space? You know, so luckily I have the residual effect of the work that I've done over the last 2 decades and some basic understanding. But I notice for me, Lee, when I start cussing up a storm in meetings, that's usually a sign that I'm not meditating. So time to get back on the breath work. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, you know, that awareness. It's so important because I think we're still in a paradigm and maybe coming out of it where that self-sacrifice is, you know, it's so deeply embedded in the collective consciousness, right? I mean, you just look at Christ consciousness, like, you know, there was a sacrifice that was made, and it's, to me, that's always been, at least from what I've learned and my current level of understanding, it's always been backwards. Because as you said, you know, if my cup's empty, how good am I going to be to anybody? Not that you're running on empty, you know what I mean? But so you know.
no, I am running on empty. So no, it's very true. Who in the world today who's really been paying attention to this and involved in this on any level isn't running empty? You know, we're at a stage where, you know, when we look at the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, the nervousness that comes up, the anxiety, the muscle tension that comes along with it, some of the shakiness that can happen with it, but also it starts bleeding into poor decision making. It starts bleeding into unhappiness. It starts bleeding into a foreboding sense of doom that's coming in, and where we start to become more addicted to looking at negative things, as opposed to when we see something negative going, you know, no, I'm not, you know. And I've had to ask people several times throughout the last 20 months to say, look, if you're not sending me something that's positive, I don't want it. I understand that there are people suffering and hurting all over the world. That is happening every day. I am right there with you, but there are time periods where I cannot look at that stuff because it has the potential of taking me away energetically from the positive building that needs to happen.
Agreed.
It doesn't mean I don't care about it, and it doesn't mean I'm dispassionate about the people who are suffering. It means for me to say, we're building a boat here. We're building an arc to this future we're creating. I got to stay focused on building that arc and making sure it's able to withstand anything that comes its way, so that we can get as many people on it as we can. You know what I mean? Like this is what's in front of us right now, and this is where we need people to hold that line for themselves as well, and realize that sometimes the best solution is no. Sometimes the best solution is your employer saying, I'm going to fire you if you don't do this. And you telling the employer, take this job and shove it. You know, sometimes it's, well, don't quit. I mean, let me say that, don't quit, make them fire you. But also sometimes it's about, you know, for parents with their kids in school, why would you want your kid in a system that is, number one, indoctrinating them, and number two is now putting them in a sense of prison where they have to, you know, be 6 feet apart and wear masks and everything is, and it's not about an education of information and a development of critical thinking and free exchange of ideas. It's about subservience and complicity. And that's what, and so why would you want your child in that situation? Maybe it's about pulling them out. So I think we're in this brave new world of figuring out what we need to do to survive. But I think some of the things that gets concerning for people and everywhere around the world is just, you know, the unpredictableness, the uncertainty of the future. Well, that's one way to look at it, that, oh my God, I'm scared about the uncertainty of the future. Another way to look at it is I'm excited because the future hasn't been written yet. We now get to have a major hand in the pin strokes that are going to go into what our future looks like. And I want to make sure that we take advantage of that tremendous opportunity that comes around once a generation, if you're lucky. Well, we're here, and we're here on a global scale to do it. This is exciting times.
I love it. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. You know, and what you were saying about, you know, the basically where we put our focus, right? And love Einstein, and you know, he said we can't solve a problem with the same level, or you know, our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. And it's like, to me, to focus on the problems, it's like we know they're there, right? We don't have to go into them. So what are, like you said, what are the solutions? And you know, for me, I've been working on the Unified Alliance and creating a resource marketplace database to also be able to connect solutionaries from every subsector of society, while building in essentially a funding platform as well. And so, you know, because what I've noticed is, you know, when people are super focused on an area, so rights and freedoms, obviously for a good reason, then there might not necessarily be you know, even time to look up to be aware that, hey, there are 10, you know, land and community projects that are being built and worked on right now in, you know, in Southern America, you know, different parts of Southern America. There are organizations that have solutions to fuel problems and waste problems, fuel being, you know, the use of seawater. You know, so to be able to have a, you know, kind of a resource database where all of these different pieces from every subsector of society are, you know, kind of put together, so that whenever people have the time to look up, they can be like, oh wow, I didn't realize all this other stuff was being built and worked on. You know, and that goes for the general population as well, that are kind of like, oh my God, like there's all this negative, you know, this narrative, and is the world going to end? It's like, the old world is, and simultaneously the new one's being built. And here's evidence of it. Here are all the organizations and all the people and all the solutions from every sector, from every walk of life that are coming together and saying, hey, when we do come together, can you imagine the world that we can build together that works for everyone?
Yeah. And
And
you know what's exciting, Lee, with that too, is you don't have to build the whole thing.
no,
Just do your little part. Where that's all we're all doing is our little parts, and then those little parts start to connect with others. And there's like, I can't tell you how many people like yourself, all the other folks that we're working with, who, like, you talk to them and you listen to what's going on, and they're giving you this little keyhole view into all this stuff that they're working on, right? And you're like, oh my God, thank you so much for what you're doing. We are figuring out how to be part of the solution. And the thing that is so exciting for me with all of this is, too often we've gotten lazy, I think, and waited for the government to come in and save us. Well, the government moves ridiculously slow, number one. Um, what's so exciting about this, people aren't waiting. People are saying, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to build it out. And that's such an important thing to do, because there's so much that's learned on the way to getting to where ultimately you want your vision to get to. There's so much learned along the way that every day you wait to get it started is another day, week, month, year that's added on to the full realization of that dream. That you have to get the journey started. If you have something that's speaking to your heart right now and saying, hey, you should do this, then you should definitely make sure that you get started on it right now. March 12th, 2020, nobody told me to start looking at the data. Nobody told me to start tracking everything. I felt a calling to do it. I was like, this could be a situation where my initial inclination, Lee, was I just want to make sure what I'm telling people, and what I especially am telling my patients, my students primarily, but what I'm telling people is accurate. I wanted to do everything I could to be reassuring and go, okay, this is what we can expect. Here's where curve's going to come up. It's going to peak at about 20 days, 25 days, and it's going to start going down. We should be fine. This is what we've seen in the countries that have gone before us. And my thought at that time was that what we were going to be discussing was an all hands on deck kind of strategy as a world, where everybody was like, hey, what you got? What's working? What's working? I want to, you know what I mean? And we share it. But then we started seeing censorship, and we started seeing the suppression of information. And then when I tried to talk with state health departments on the empirical evidence for nutrition, we were getting pushed back on and widely ignored, even worse, right? And I think what it started telling me was, oh my God, I'm so glad I heard that and answered that call to service, because now we're at this place where we have that formal grand jury petition, and you can read all this stuff, folks, on the CovidCon21.com site. But we have the information on immune priming. We have the information on mandates, because this was me doing my part along with so many other people that I work with. But this was us doing our part on this larger topic, And then while we're doing that and educating people on where we are, there's great folks like you who are like, hey, we're building out this new world because we're with you. And I don't need to pay attention to the data to know that something is really wrong. And that I don't want to be reliant on people who are doing wrong acts. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible position to put yourself in, to be reliant on someone who's untrustworthy, right? That's not a good idea under any circumstance. So, hey, I got just a couple more minutes. Can I definitely want to talk about breath work with you a little bit, and I'd love to do a couple minutes with you, if that's cool, for the audience and everything. But for anybody who's interested in registering for CovidCon, go to CovidCon21.com. When you register, there's going to be a section for a promo code. Put in unified, all uppercase, all one word. Well, it's only one word, unified in there, and that'll get you 10% off. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to track who's come in, thanks to Lee, your work with promotions, and make sure that we are, as an event, the CovidCon 21, we're funneling back 10% of what comes in back to your endeavors. We want to really build this new world of reciprocity, of goodwill and good faith, that we help each other, right? As you see over my shoulder over here, I'm a big Bob Marley dude, right? This is all about love energy. It's all about helping each other. It's all about bringing everyone together. And I love in one of his songs, he says, tell the children the truth.
Mm,
Tell them the truth of what's going on. I'm so tired of, I was like, had somebody the other day talking to me about Santa Claus. And I was like, yeah, I can't stand Santa Claus. And they're like, why? What do you have against Santa Claus? It's like, I don't have anything against the energy of it, because it's ultimately, it's this really positive energy. But I said, think about what we're really doing. We're teaching children to go along with something that's a lie because it benefits them.
mm,
We're teaching children to receive gifts for something that's fraudulent. And we're teaching parents to not take the credit for all the hard work that they did to create this love energy and this exchange of energy with their children, to put that off on a fictitious character that had nothing to do with this. So we can tell a story over and over again that's crap.
mm,
Instead of, I'm all for Santa Claus being involved and having Santa Claus gifts, as long as the children know the truth that
mm,
Santa Claus doesn't exist. This is a tradition. See, that's the thing. That's how we get into these problems. We create these complicit ways in which people participate in the lie, and we call sometimes the lie tradition to make it seem less of a lie. We call the fraud a holiday, to make it seem less of a lie. We do these things, and we're, instead of telling the children the truth and saying, hey, this is the lesson we learned from this, instead of, I don't know, maybe doing something really special with children, sharing with them the gift of giving before receiving, and saying, hey, what are you going to give to your family? Who do you want to give something to? And so that they can learn the joy that's in the giving. Because to me, that's where all the energy is. I don't need anything, but I sure do love giving people gifts. And I love giving people gifts 365 days a year, right? I don't need a specific day of the year to give somebody a gift because I was thinking about it. Like, this is what we can teach in this new world that we're building, that we don't have to base things on. So again, that's a little tangent, folks. If you know me long enough, you'll know I go tangent on crazy ideas. But CovidCon21.com for registration, promo code unified, all uppercase, unified. Get 10% off, and let's make sure we're helping to fund the work that Lee Davy is doing, bringing people together, because this is what it's about right now. Let's bring everybody together. Let's get everybody talking. Let's all be a part of this wonderful solution and take the advantage of the opportunity that's presented to us right now. It looks like it's really dire and dark, but if you just stop for a second and take a breath, it's actually the greatest opportunity we're ever going to get.
absolutely. And opportunity is often dressed up in work clothes. It's like, and I do just want to, add a little bit of a call to action beyond that, because, you had mentioned when you started your research in March of 2020, and how, you just felt this calling, and some people, felt it a little bit earlier, and some people are, feeling it now, where there's more of a push, and sometimes it takes a, catastrophic or near catastrophic event for people to, whoa, wait, what, like, they had to look around and be like, okay, so something's not right here. What can I do my part in this? And so if you're feeling that, or if you're not quite there yet, or if you're on the fence, I just want to say, reach out to one of us, connect with Dr. Ealy and CovidCon, and be a part of it. Add your support, add your skills. Reach out to me and connect to Unified Alliance if you've got a solution. I'd love to hear from you, because now is the time, like you said, that we need to come together, and your skills, your passion, your voice, the actions that you can take are needed now more than ever. So, I just encourage you to get off the fence and jump into the game, and help us in the direction that we're going with the solutions that we have to implement them, and join the celebration.
What a great, there's your t-shirt right there. Join the celebration of life and all that is good in the world. We still possess all that. It all still lives within us, and that's what I'm putting out every day. And if that makes me a villain, then I'm going to be a villain I'm gonna be a villain of love 100% every day of the week. That's what it is.
Beautiful. Do you have time for a little bit of breath?
I
Or
have time for a 5-minute session if you're okay with that. Yeah.
for
I
sure.
know it's not nearly as long as you or I would like for any of that stuff, but I have time for a 5-minute session. Can I share with the audience a couple of questions after we get going
Please.
in it that I ask myself in my meditations?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You want to do that first, or you want to do that?
Sure. I can give a couple of questions. One of the things, Lee, like I don't know about you, like you start thumbing through like some of the thread space and all that, with on different platforms, and you're just like, oh my God, it just looks like, there's so much noise and there's so much, oh my God, and outrage and everything, and how can they do this and how can they get away with this and da da da. And it's easy to get swept up into it. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to be like, oh man, and then you can feel that drop of energy and that despair start to sink into that void that's created when your energy drops. So what I did was I've developed 20 questions that I teach to my students at the Energetic Health Institute. It's called Love Without Limits. That's the name of the meditation. And what it is it's about getting into a good breath rhythm. We know we're in I teach that we know we're in a good meditative space when we start to salivate from breathing, because we're engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. So like, to me, that's our signal. It's like when you start salivating while you're breathing, you're in healing mode, you're in meditative mode, you're entering into that stillness, right? And so it's like, once you're in a stillness, then it's like, okay, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can go empty mind if you want. That's fine. I typically don't do empty mind meditations. I do active meditation. And so I'll get into asking myself questions. And there's a couple questions I like. I got 20. I'm not going to read all 20 of them or give all 20 to everybody, but because that would be forever. But there's a couple I think that are important. The first question is, who's in control of how I feel about me? It's that constant reminder that I'm in control. No matter what I've seen, no matter what I'm going through, I'm in control of this rocket ship that I'm on right now, it settles me down. The second is, who's in control of how I feel about what's going on in the world. And I think that's really important right now, because I can choose to look at the world with very pessimistic eyes, or I can choose to look at the world with very optimistic eyes. That's my freedom of choice, how I'm in control of that process. Whenever I get too much screen time that's negative, believe me, I balance it out with some birds in the trees, chirping around, eating aphids right now on my oak tree. It's so cute out there, right? And then the third question is, who has the power to transform my life? Who's in control of how I feel about my life, including the power to change it as I see fit. And that's me. And so the first three questions are really all about collecting yourself back and remembering you're in charge of this experience, right? That certain inalienable status, right, that we talked about. Then I have a couple other questions I really like. One of them is about forgiveness, because I think this is something that's going to be challenging for us moving forward. Is victimhood is a prison I refuse to live in. Who has the power to transform any hurt I may feel into sources of limitless strength? And that's something for me to, number one, always acknowledge I refuse to be a victim in my life. For anything. I don't care what's going on. I will not be a victim. That's a prison. But also, who has the power, because we have this power to transform everything that's going on into a great source of strength for us. And what we can do with a question like that is remind ourselves that, yeah, I have that power. I feel like He-Man some days, right? From that cartoon. I have the power. Battle Cat, Cringer, and all that stuff, right? So there's those. And I have a great one that I really enjoy on Ho'oponopono that I do in there as well. But I think what's really important for us is to get grounded on who's in control of our perception. Because I think a lot of times we are giving away that control of our perception to people who, number one, don't deserve it and have ill intent with our perception. So if you can reestablish on a daily basis that you have control over your perception and you have the power to transform energy into what you want it to be, then for my experience with the students who do it and everything has been, these are the people that have the greatest endurance and are the most solid and can get through any situation, because our success in our life is going to be determined not by how much money we have in a bank account, how many commas we have associated with our name. Our success in our life is going to be determined by how we handle adversity. And we're certainly in that situation right now where we're being asked some very important questions about who we are and who do we want to be.
Absolutely. I love those. I love those. Maybe you can send those to me and I'll post them.
Yeah, I'll send them over with this. I'll send them over to you, and you can feel it's free stuff. Feel free to share it. Yeah, far and wide.
Yeah, they're beautiful questions, and it all starts with the self, right? Like we said earlier, it's like once that cup is full and you take that power back, all of a sudden it's like, okay, now who can I support? You know, now who can I give to?
Yes, right. You can only give that which you have to give. So you make sure you give something to yourself every day.
Absolutely. And you only get to keep that which you give away.
Amen. How ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. So give love.
Love, give love.
So just a couple minutes.
Yeah, I got a couple minutes, sure.
Okay. So just close your eyes, everybody. I'm just going to start with that connection to the heart. With those questions. Just focused on that heart. And just have a sense with each inhale, taking in more love, we're feeling more love. With each exhale, we're able to radiate that love first to ourselves, then to our loved ones, and finally to everyone. So with that intention, the intention of calling your power back, calling those pieces back, of taking control of your health and your life again. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and just relax. Inhale, exhale, and release. Inhale, exhale, and find peace. Inhale, exhale, free yourself. Inhale, exhale, free your mind. Inhale, exhale, and let go. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, and feel. Inhale, exhale, more love. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, let go. Inhale, exhale, free yourself. Inhale, exhale, free your mind. Inhale, exhale, and fill your body. Inhale, exhale, fill it with light. Inhale, exhale, release. Inhale, exhale, find peace. Inhale, exhale, let go. Inhale, exhale, beautiful. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, release. Inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale, exhale, find peace. Inhale, exhale, let go. Inhale, exhale, beautiful. Inhale, exhale slowly and holding at the bottom. No breathing, no air, just relax. Remember those questions. Calling back your power. finding peace. And become the stillness. Can you let go even more? Still holding on the exhale, focused on your heart and feeling more love in your sacred heart. Now inhale fully to the heart through the mouth. Holding, expanding your heart and reconnect your heart to your divine understanding. And remembering fully why you're here and that you are love and that you are light. Exhaling slowly to the bottom. We'll do one quick round. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the mouth, out through the mouth. Nose, mouth. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Let go. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Free yourself. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Free your mind. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Letting go. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Feeling. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. More love. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Mouth, mouth. Last few. Nose, mouth. Let go. Mouth, mouth. Freeing. Nose, mouth. Healing. Mouth, mouth. Let go. Nose, mouth. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. Mouth, mouth. Nose, mouth. And in through the mouth to the top and hold. Inhale and hold. Find the very center of the brain, the pineal gland, and allow it to activate. Open it up and unify with limitless potential. Unify with your infinite knowingness. And as you exhale slowly to the bottom, holding at the bottom, no breathing, no air, let go even more. And connect to more love and feel more love. And fill your body with light. Remember, breath is life. And fall in love with your life. And shine your light. Now inhale fully to the heart. Holding, expanding your heart and reconnecting your heart with your divine understanding. And feeling more love. And as you exhale, slowly radiate love first to yourself, then to your loved ones, and finally to everyone. And with each inhale from here forward, inhaling and feeling even more love. And exhaling and radiate even more love. And inhale and feel. And exhale and radiate. And inhale and feel more love. And be healed. And exhale and radiate. And remember who you truly are. Remember oneness. Remember unity. Remember connection. Remember you are light. Remember why you came. Remember who you truly are. Never so gently and oh so slowly when you're ready. Coming back. When you're ready, you can open your eyes at will.
Very nice.
It's a quick one.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's and definitely, you know what I love about this? It's very different style than how I breathe, but I could feel that connection with it. You know, really, really incredible stuff. I'm gonna have to play around with that. It reminded me of some Kapalapati type breathing, some skull shining, you know, kind of techniques in Ayurveda. Wow. Yeah, I feel good.
Share a few recordings that I have with you.
All
I
right.
some chanting usually as well that opens up and unlocks the universal energy centers.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll do a quick one. So Om Kali Myo Ryo Mei
Mm. Very nice. A lot of sacred sounds in that one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is great. Well, Lee, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited, and anybody that is watching this, you got a good one right here. Thank you, Lee, and um, you know, we hope to see you at CovidCon. Go to CovidCon21.com and put in promo code Unified, all uppercase, and let's together be a part of the solution. You know, because we can feel as good as we feel right now all the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everything that you've done, everything you're doing for CovidCon, for taking the time to just chat a little bit with me and share, and for your hearts and just everything that you're doing to make the world a better place. So much love to you.
Amen. Oh, thank you so much.
Talk to you. Mm, a beautiful day. Mhm.